Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Group Chat.
Whoa, what's up with the ladies and gentlemen?
Ooh.
Well, I guess we have a pastor here today, so.
Yeah.
We don't want to go on too much.
By the book.
Yeah.
We are joined today by a real life pastor.
Yeah.
And, you know, I mean, I would say this episode is kind of what you would expect if a pastor sat down with the Group Chat crew.
Yeah.
And we just got to ask pretty much anything. Jeff, thank you for being so lenient with your questions you allowed us to ask.
Oh, yeah. It's my pleasure.
It's going to be good.
Yeah.
I think we're going to learn a lot.
It was great, and we'll have to escort him out before Tim gets his hands on him.
ASAP. So yeah, we're going to learn a lot about, what's going on in the Christian church. And Jeff here is mainly in New York, but also does work down in Alabama and Georgia. Has a good view of the
Louisiana.
Louisiana.
Places that Group Chat probably doesn't resonate.
We sound like aliens. Okay, so that, and then we're going to hop into some news stories. We got to talk about the Olympics.
Yes.
Things are a little strange.
Yeah.
And then we're going to talk about a little bit going on over in China. Who is ready?
Let's go.
Woo! Let's go.
Cash.
Ladies and gentlemen, Group Chat.
Cash.
It's $1 trillion. Hot.
All right, welcome to Group Chat.
Happy post 4th of July.
Happy 5th of July.
5th of July.
I feel independent.
Never been more independent.
Let me talk to you guys about independence. You guys celebrate it in a real way, and I'm embarrassed to say that I think maybe a flaw in not being in the office and not spending too much time on social media is all I can blame. I didn't know there was a party.
You know all the people during the party.
I know every person. I have zero excuse.
They did a really good job of not hyping it up before the party.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Well, too good of a job.
Yeah, exactly.
Because literally Corinne said to me, hey, is there a Revolve party today? And I'm like, I don't know. And she's like, well, it looks like people are at a Revolve party. I'm like, where, at a house or something? She's like, I don't know. We should check. I look, of course. The Nobu Malibu, Bootsy Bellows, all my friends. I'm like, what the fuck? So anyway.
Your guy Beck,
my dude Beck. So fill me in. I mean, how was it?
I mean, it lived up to the hype.
Yeah.
As always. I'll tell you.
Is that the LA party of the year, like that you can count on at least? Like other than maybe a fluke one here or there?
Yeah, I mean, you know that this is going to happen. It's Nobu Malibu. It's Bootsy Bellows. This year, Revolve was their partner on it.
Let me ask you this. Sorry. If there was one party in LA that you told
That's it.
That's it. Yeah.
That's it.
For the whole year?
That you could just bank on. Like, hey, there's only one that you can go to.
Yeah.
What's the one you would place your bet on? Is it that one?
I like that one because one, it's Malibu.
Mm-hmm.
It's in the summer. It's
right on the ocean.
It's on the ocean.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous.
Do you know what's sneaky amazing about it? Is
What?
you're home by like 9:30.
Yeah.
That's true.
I
You don't have
was
to-
not because I was left behind.
Yeah, we left him.
Anand and Anthony left me.
You got left.
Yeah. And
He looked like he was having too much fun.
Did you guys do like the sneak out?
Yeah, we did the sneak out.
And I literally texted him like, well, I hate
He
you
texted
guys.
us like 30 minutes later, so he was still partying.
He was having a blast.
Yeah,
He was
we
like,
were
I hate you
already
guys. And
past
then
Santa
like,
Monica.
Yeah, but like, how do I like give it a tap on the shoulder?
yeah, that's true.
I
Did
mean,
you
you know-
Ubered alone?
No, he was hinting that he was going to do the shore bar after party. I was like, this guy,
Yeah.
too much.
I don't know who's right here. I'm having trouble deciding.
Well, here's the thing. I was so nervous about getting an Uber out.
Because of just the busyness.
It's a shortage. It's just, you never know, right?
No one's working.
No one's working.
Yeah.
People are quitting. And so then I end up, and then my friend Mikey's like, I'll give you a ride home, but we're going to Shore Bar after. I'm like so drunk at this point.
Yeah.
I was like, I can't last 3 more hours. Like
So what'd you do?
So then
Went to
I
Shore
start.
Bar.
What did you go to
I said, went to
No,
Shore
I
Bar.
didn't. So then at finally like at 9, I pull up the apps.
Yeah.
I order Uber.
All right, let's be clear. He's not even opening the apps. We were, I think, home.
Yeah, you were home.
Yeah.
And he hadn't even opened.
Well, I was at that point. I had left for dead, so
So you might as well enjoy it.
you have to enjoy it.
All stranded
He's
at
left
Nobu
for
Malibu.
dead at Nobu Malibu.
Fanciest place on earth.
With like the most famous people on planet Earth.
Just him and Drake trying to find a way out.
I was Drake seemed to get a lot of people with him. I'm sure he had a big,
Probably a lot of cars.
a lot of cars,
A lot of rides.
a lot of rides.
Yeah.
And so finally, I open up the apps and I order a Lyft and Uber. Lyft shows up in like 6 minutes.
Ooh.
Faster than Uber.
Yeah, and the guy's like, I'm here. And then I'm walking out, and Brian's like, you got a car? I was like, yeah, come in. He hopped in the car with me.
Really?
We ran into a bunch of traffic though.
On the way home?
Yeah.
Because you saw fireworks or no?
I didn't see anything.
How was traffic on the way out there?
Nothing.
It was
Absolutely
Really?
nothing.
Yeah.
That's usually the bad part.
But we also left. I think people just get there earlier. We didn't go out to Malibu till like 3.
Yeah.
So I think it's like a weird time. If you're going to the
Found the
beach, you're
gap.
going to go earlier than
Yeah.
that.
And so I get home. I Postmated some Taco Bell,
As per usual.
as per usual. Taco Bell is just unfucking believable.
Unbelievable.
I don't even understand how other restaurants compete.
It's just the health thing.
Yeah.
Because it's literally like crack.
I
And you don't even get the good part. You don't even eat meat.
No.
This is all the bean version of everything.
Yeah.
And it's still that good.
It's like-
It is
Because I've
incredible.
eaten your version of it before, and it's kind of bland.
Really?
Yeah.
What's in the beef that's so
You
good?
just need, there's something that just kind of rounds out, like a Mexican pizza, no meat, that's your go-to.
Yeah.
It's just, you're just missing something.
Well, I was just thrilled that by the time I got home, it was sitting on my doorstep.
Oh, you did the timed.
Yeah, I mean, it got there an hour before me because there was
Yeah.
always traffic.
Yeah.
But the party was great. I mean, these guys just know everybody.
Yeah.
Between the
Star-studded.
two companies,
Yeah.
it's like Revolve had all the it kind of women.
Yeah,
and
that combo is dangerous.
that is a good combo.
Yes.
Yeah.
I feel like there's a lot to do there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it lived up to the hype. You know what's funny is even when I kind of thought like a couple weeks ago about Nobu Malibu, I was like, I bet they're not doing it this year just because it's too fresh out of.
So I'll tell you, they definitely probably didn't promote it publicly because they had to have a reduced capacity.
Got it.
And so it definitely was not like previous years in terms of like overcrowded.
Which actually made it better.
Yeah, I bet.
Because you either had a band or you didn't. So
Yeah.
there's no crowd outside.
Yeah.
You just walk in.
Yeah.
Because typically it's like 500 people
Screaming
on
the-
PCH. Brian!
Yeah, oh my God.
Parker.
Okay, so none of that was happening.
No, you couldn't.
Ah.
There was not even a person to yell, scream your name. There's
Oh, what a great
security
situation.
guard letting you in, and that's it.
And there was security I saw because when we walked up to people in the valet, like you can't even walk in even close to the door unless you had a band.
Yeah.
So they stopped you at valet.
That's kind of how it should be, I feel like. Like, I know why they don't do it that way, but like that seems so nice.
Yeah, I mean, it was. That's how I think most events should be.
Yeah.
It's
I
so
went
much.
to a birthday in the heart of COVID over the summer that was supposed to be outdoors at Nobu.
Yeah.
They're a little liberal at Malibu.
Yeah.
There was
You
a
know,
lot
the
of-
ocean, it carries the virus.
Yeah.
No concerns.
It was a great weather, great day. I didn't really get to hear any of the music because I was gone.
Like wasted.
Yeah.
Well, he wanted to
You didn't
start
hear
with 42 at like 3, and I was, thank God we had a White Claw. I was like, I literally wouldn't even make it to the party if I was starting with 42.
Well, because
And he started calling me a pussy.
yes,
Of course you did. Yeah.
and I did call him a pussy, and I'm pretty sure we are going to the NBA Finals.
Who's we?
Per Anand and our friend Ryan Braun was there, who's a Milwaukee guy.
He's a Malibu,
Oh, you mean
Malibu's
you're
fine.
physically actually going?
I'm pretty sure I got Ryan and Anand to split a plane and take us to the NBA
No,
Finals.
I said Ryan's got to buy the plane.
Wow, I heard split.
I
Wow.
I was just saying.
I just hear Dean, don't be a pussy.
Yeah.
Split the plane.
Yeah, literally what was going
It
on.
was too much chaos. I don't know what was going on.
But
That's
I'm assuming Ryan's getting us wood seats.
Yeah.
I mean,
that
I
would
mean,
only
he
be
is
right.
a Milwaukee legend.
yes. So, I mean,
He can't be not on the wood.
yeah,
That'd
exactly.
be embarrassing.
That'd be
Yeah.
embarrassing.
Yeah.
All right, Ryan. Sorry.
So we got to
Ryan
sit on
and
the wood, and I'm
an expensive-
expecting a free. I mean,
I think-
for leaving me in the party for dead, the least you could
Oh,
do
that's
is
true. In that terrible place.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Too many celebs
With all this
and-
crime.
Yeah, I was crime waves.
Yeah. Yeah. And what about, so Bucks are going.
Bucks are going to the NBA Finals.
What's up with Giannis? His knees working or?
I don't know.
I think he's playing in the finals.
I
They
hope
haven't
so.
really like said anything, but he's playing.
I mean, you got to, right?
Yeah. I saw Jason was at All Tune Tune on Saturday.
I was.
With Josh.
He's living.
Josh.
Yeah, living.
Yep.
Living.
Yeah, it's really strange. It's really strange that we talk about like such a crazy crime wave, and then there's also that happening.
Yeah.
Like it's like it's like partying and celebrating like you've never seen, as well as like crazy crime and homelessness through the roof. And it's just really strange.
Yeah, I mean, it's literally like the tale of two cities.
Yeah.
It's wild.
Well, we know what city you chose.
Malibu.
I mean, we don't eat sushi, obviously, but like it looked great. Like they were just passing out fancy sushi to the party.
Yeah,
They do a great job. That party's great. I hope that party continues at least for another 30 years.
It has to, right? I mean, I feel like that and Coachella you can count on until you can't walk anymore. Right?
And I'll probably be relatively healthy. So,
Yeah.
I mean, I'm
90?
probably, 80 years old. Why wouldn't I go
I can
to
see an
Nobu?
88-year-old D just waltzing through Nobu, Malibu. Like, hey. Right?
I didn't see that.
You guys
And
remember
you know what's
TikTok?
funny is the one realization I had yesterday. I was like, I don't see that many old people because we are the old people.
Yeah.
Yeah,
They're
yeah.
literally looking at us like,
they're
damn,
like,
these
damn,
guys are
there's a lot of
old.
old people
Still at the club.
Oh, that's true. Okay, and then lastly, before we get to our guest, because we have an amazing guest.
Yes.
What were you saying about, we've paid attention to Fairfax and the apparel world and that stuff for a very long time. You guys even longer than I have. But to the point where like when there's something going on Fairfax, we notice.
Yep.
Whether it's a new brand or maybe Supreme's doing something special. You said that you saw a line on Fairfax like you've never seen in the history of paying attention to Fairfax, which is 20 years.
Yeah. I mean, I've seen I remember all the big Supreme drops, and the lines are long.
Mm-hmm.
I believe Nike did a pop-up once, and that was really long. I've seen some big lines on Fairfax. And you'll have your influencers come in and drop stuff or an album. I think Kanye did a pop-up there not too long ago when he did the Pablo tour. Crazy line.
Yeah.
This line I saw on Saturday morning. This is at 10 a.m., maybe 10:45, was for Danny Duncan, who is a YouTuber.
Yeah.
And the line was, if you know LA and you know Fairfax, Supreme is like the center point of the street.
Yeah.
This went south to Beverly Boulevard.
Sheesh.
And
So all of Fairfax.
all of Fairfax. And it wasn't even that. Okay, that's a lot of people.
Yeah.
I came back down Fairfax, I think at 3 or 4 o'clock. It was still that long. And so the sign said Danny's cream pies, which I'm assuming, I thought it was ice cream, but it's not. It's just how he his whole...
Yeah, and I don't know whether he sells like a food item as like a gimmick.
I think he's just selling merch. He was, and at 3, 4 o'clock, or maybe it was 4 o'clock when I drove down, it opened up when the light, like they had like a sliding door.
Yeah.
And I was stuck at the traffic light, so I look inside. I see him. He's taking pictures with every single one of these kids.
He's gnarly when it comes
and
to that.
everybody in line, not joking, every single kid had his merch on.
Yeah.
Virginity Rocks.
Yeah.
And, so randomly we had some kids and some parents at our house afterwards, and they were like, what was that? What is Virginity Rocks? And he's like, oh, is he a really religious guy? I was like, it doesn't sound like it. Because the other t-shirt I saw was like, big dick in town.
Yeah.
I like to eat ass.
Yeah.
So,
I think it's the joke of it that, that makes it.
Considering we have a pastor coming on.
Yeah, I mean, geez, this is the story right before we introduce the pastor. Oh my God.
But
he's essentially the new Bam Margera, I would say.
Yes, I saw a picture with him and Bam. So
yeah, that's what he is. He's like the new jackass Bam Margera, but in the YouTube age, he's really funny. He's like crashing dirt bikes, and he lives in Florida most of the time where it's just sort of lawless. And he just does the wildest shit, and will get in fights and take his pants off, and he's just a wild.
You know what's crazy is that like guys like him and then the Elk Boys, like if you think about the Jackass crew, they were very popular, and they were just basically TV stars. Maybe they got into like they did those 2 movies. I think I remember, but that was it.
I think
that
they did
was
like 4.
Yeah, okay,
but whatever.
That was their career, right?
Yeah.
They were entertainers in that.
Yep.
This guy, he's gonna sell merch forever.
Yeah.
He's gonna if he launched an ice cream or whatever the hell it was, it would work, right? And all these like prankster guys that like I didn't think would evolve into such like pretty much Titans
Yeah.
have now become that. Which,
Well, and for your sake, for the sake of what you're saying, so many didn't.
yeah.
So many were just like YouTube pranks, and they sort of phased out.
Yeah.
A lot of those big guys. But these guys that are more of like, you're like a celebrity, like the kids just genuinely love him as a person. Those people are able to continue going.
Yeah.
You know, it seems like.
And it was like such a diverse group of kids just standing in line.
Yeah.
It just looked like, you know, because when you look at like a streetwear Supreme line, it's just kind of like a bunch of angry kids standing there just being angry.
Yeah.
But this line, these kids were so stoked. There was like, you know, white kids and Mexican kids and black kids. And it was just like, you know, it looked like a more representation of young people.
Yeah.
Whereas like when you see a streetwear line, it's just the same type of kid.
Yeah. Yeah. That's really interesting.
Yeah.
I think it just, not everyone can do it by any means. It's really hard. But man, if you connect in this like YouTube age, like the Elk Boys, the numbers I've heard of their merch is insane.
I mean, New York Times, it said $50 million last year.
Yeah, I've heard they do like 2 million a day when they do a drop. Like just crazy stuff.
Crazy.
And
it also shows you like the intermediaries, meaning like the studios and Netflix and streaming, don't have it right. Because if these guys are able to attract such a crazy audience without any support, they built it on their own.
Yeah. It only matters in the big leagues. So I think that Johnny Knoxville and all them didn't make as much money as Danny Duncan will make until they started doing movies. Yeah. I think with movies, they got really big paychecks. Yeah. Because essentially you have a movie budget. Those movies performed really well. And so you're making like $10 million in one shot or something.
Which is probably what a Danny Duncan is probably making now.
A year, you would think.
Yeah.
Yeah. So they would get it like in one check. And then they did 4 of those and then whatever. But like, there was so many people in between them and the customer. I don't think they really made that much money.
Yeah.
Where Danny Duncan can just print money for the next
decade.
Yeah.
Easily.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, just seeing how many kids were wearing Virginity Rocks was nuts. And the same logo.
That thing's like the Thrasher tee at Zoomies, I think. Like it's just nonstop.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, good stuff. I will say, fun fact, Danny Duncan was supposed to be in the TikTok versus YouTube fight.
Wow.
He sniffed out that it seemed like Firefest and dropped out and like 2 weeks before and no one ended up getting paid.
So no one got paid in that Bryce Hall thing?
No.
So he had to go get his ass beat for free?
For free. And apparently the company is owned, Social Gloves, the company is owned by Austin McBroom.
Wow.
The guy that beat up Bryce.
Yeah. So that guy made out like a bandit, I think.
Oh my God.
I think he beat that guy up, took everyone's money, bankrupted the company because it wasn't, probably didn't make anything on top of that. And then you're out.
Fascinating.
Okay. You know what's fascinating?
Yes.
The fact that in our little bubble here, we get to have a conversation with a real pastor.
Wow. This is exciting.
Anna, who do we got? You brought a pastor in.
I brought a pastor.
You think we need Jesus? What happened? You trying to tell us something?
One of my close friends, Jeff Choi, we went to Granada Hills High School together. And, you know, when we were in high school, he worked at Togo's.
Love Togos.
And before he was a pastor, he used to give me free egg salad sandwiches.
You got to start somewhere.
And then I think he wanted to right his sins and went to the church.
You're right. You're right. You were serving him poison. Okay, so welcome to the pod, man. I mean, we're really excited. We want to give you the disclaimer, and we'll give the audience the disclaimer. We'll edit anything out that you don't like. Because, I mean, this feels like a unique opportunity for us to have a group chat style conversation with a real pastor.
Yeah.
So welcome.
Well, yeah, thank you. Thank you. So just a little bit about myself. I went to high school with Anand. I've been a pastor for about 6 years in the Presbyterian Church in America. So that's known as the PCA. It's a conservative denomination in the larger evangelical Christian circle. So
you're on the conservative side of...
Wow.
The conservative side, yes. But when you say conservative, you have to really define your parameters. So conservative Christianity is one thing. Conservative politically is another thing.
Got it. And they're not necessarily tied.
They're sometimes tied, but some very liberal Christians on the Christianity scale could be super fundamentalist conservatives on the political scale.
Okay, got it.
And then super conservative Christians on the Christianity side can find themselves on the super liberal side of the political. So those labels sometimes work, but they don't work in when you're just talking to a Christian.
Yeah.
You have to kind of define certain parameters.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You got to let them know what side of the spectrum you're on.
Yeah. So, I mean, just a quick one story is I met a guy at a bar. He found out I was a pastor. We're talking. And then he was like, so are you a conservative Christian or a liberal Christian? So I'd say, how are you defining those terms? And he said,
did you vote for Trump? What'd you say? I said, did you vote for Trump?
He asked, do you believe that Jesus rose from the dead? So that's a basic foundational principle. And I said, yes. And then he said, wow, so you're super conservative. I'm like, I didn't even think that was on the scale.
What's the other option?
You don't believe in the resurrection of the dead. You believe in the moral teachings of Jesus. That would be more liberal. On the liberal side of Christianity. Right.
I didn't know that existed.
But you would find them very political on conservative on the political spectrum.
Got it.
Yeah.
And then you work out of New York.
I do.
Got it. All right, D, go ahead.
So, I mean, I think my interest in religion is really in the context of politics.
Sure.
Because I've been reading a lot of stories recently about things like QAnon entering the churches in the South.
Mm-hmm.
And I've heard it from both spectrums that, one, it's good for business, because if your believers believe it, why not feed it to them? And then the other side is there's a ton of pastors and leaders of churches that are saying, this is scary. Mm-hmm. We're trying to correct it, but the internet's too big of a force.
Right.
And when it comes to politics in America, the church is very influential. In swing, obviously we say separate church and state, but we know who votes in this country.
Right.
And it's going to be obvious. We're in this weird period where there's a bunch of people that believe something that kind of gave birth on the internet. And I'm just curious, how did it enter the churches?
Yeah, I mean, you can ask a bunch of church historians how it's happened, and they'll probably give you several different answers. I think it's because it's in the churches, our structure-wise, it's the wild, wild west. There is no oversight. There is no governing body. There is no one saying, hey, this is what you believe.
For the entire religion.
For the entire religion. So if you look at the Catholic Church, they have the Pope.
Yeah.
So they're kind of spreading out the message. They're a little bit more in line. So
that's dangerous.
Right.
Which part?
Sorry. It's just dangerous that, like, let's just say you're a pastor at a church and you build this great following. You can sort of go off the rails and no one's there to police you.
Right. So that's where it kind of goes. They operate independently. And
How do you get, like, disbarred? When does someone step in?
So in the denomination I'm in, Presbyterian Church, we're Presbyterian. So if you hear Presbyterian Baptist, those aren't really beliefs. Those are kind of how the church governs itself. So Presbyterian people will joke, you're from the South, you're a gentleman, whatever. But it's really a structure of government. You have this thing called GA, General Assembly, and they kind of set the tone of what you can believe, how you should believe it, and how you should go about things. So we have kind of like a governing body. It's equivalent to a court system that kind of goes up. So if I'm a pastor of a local church, I start talking about QAnon, whatever, and a church member says, hey, this guy is talking about weird stuff.
Yeah.
They can bring a charge against me and it'll get kicked up to a governing body and then they can look at it.
Got it.
And then if they rule on something, it'll get kicked up to the higher authorities and then they'll look at it. So it's not as much in the Presbyterian circles, but in the Baptist circle, the head pastor is kind of judge, king, and executioner. So he has a board around him, with the group of elders, and they run the church. And so you can only report to them, and then they kind of determine the outcome of that church run.
So as a pastor, how much of your congregation, the people that show up every day, every week, dictate kind of the message you send, or do you just have your views and you make them kind of assimilate to you?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think if you ask a pastor, depending on their congregation, they'll change. It depends.
Got it. And is your like being that you're in a big city, does that, like, if I heard you speak in New York versus Atlanta, would you be addressing people differently?
Yes.
Really?
I would be. Yeah, I would. You get kind of aware. So I got to have the opportunity to preach in Louisiana, so not in New Orleans, but
Wow.
Louisiana, and it was in the suburb. It was just farms. I was like, hey, give me the background of this church. Like,
How does that even opportunity come up?
so we're mainly in the South. The PCA
Oh,
came
got it.
from the South, so that's the denomination, and it's centered around the South. So I go to Alabama,
Oh, wow.
Louisiana,
Wow.
pretty
Wow.
often.
And is that just like to exercise your skills, or like what's the benefit to you?
So we do a lot of business around there, mainly around Atlanta is our headquarters. So we'll go to Georgia for a lot of stuff. But then you make friends and they're like, hey, love to come speak at our church. Yeah. And then I come down and
you go right into the.
So you're a Korean
Yeah.
guy from Los Angeles
right.
that's preaching in Alabama. How does that get received?
Good question.
They're polite. I mean, they're nice.
Do you notice a little bit of something?
Oh, yeah. Immediately, right away,
Wow.
you're the only other ethnicity. It's not just I'm the only Korean or the only
Yeah.
Asian. It's you're the only other color.
They're like, did you bring a translator?
Sorry, I can't understand.
Hey, what's Kim Jong Un doing here?
No, but you get comments, a bunch of buddies of mine who go there, they're like, wow, your English is amazing. Yeah. They just,
And you're born and raised in
yeah. But I mean, we just go, thank you so much. Yeah, I've been really practicing. And
It's really paid off.
Oh my gosh. Do you notice a big, how long have you been doing this?
So about 6 years. I mean, I've been in it really for like 8. Yeah.
So did you notice, so you saw like a pre-Trump, post-Trump. Did you notice a huge like political undertow that sort of was new, or did it not really feel that way to you?
Yeah, it's new. So we all kind of study it in seminary. The real shift happened in the 70s, right? So that's when Christianity was a lot like the Catholic Church. They're kind of apolitical. They just have their issues that they really care about, but they'll never side with the Republicans or the Democrats. They just, hey, we're going to be agnostic. As long as you support these issues, we're good with you.
Yeah.
But I think really with Jerry Falwell and Liberty University and Oral Robertson, they got bigger platforms, TV. Billy Graham got really big. The president invited them into their cabinet. I mean, that gets really addicting, right? So now you're a powerful force. You galvanize people. And now it's like this kind of newfound platform you've never had before.
Yeah.
And then that's when it really became big. And then I think George Bush just put the pedal on the metal and then took it to a next level. So it hasn't always been like this.
Yeah.
So I think what you're seeing is us trying to grapple, all of Christianity trying to grapple with this kind of newfound power that we've had. And I'd say since the 90s.
But did you notice like a MAGA influx or no? Not any more than the rest.
Yeah, we don't, from the South, we don't really talk about it. They just smile.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then they don't really say too much.
So you don't go to Alabama and there's like suits and red hats.
So that happens in our church in New York City.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
They come in. Yeah.
But it doesn't.
with the hat.
Oh, yeah. So yeah, we had to talk to this gentleman and just say, hey, it's just causing a lot of strife. Can you not wear the hat?
In New York.
Yeah.
And what did that person say?
He obliged, like, sorry. I just thought,
Just thought, make it great again.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just trying to make America
Just
great.
thought,
and then
I
he's
just
like-
thought.
And to his credit, he's like, oh, I thought this is like the Christian thing to do. And we're like,
He was just trying to fit in.
Yeah, I mean,
He's like,
Like,
"I'm
kids have to get new Jordans your first day of school. Like, this is a new church.
like
They're
you with the
conservative.
Harvard hoodie.
Yeah, he was an older gentleman, and he just, this is what he believed, and so he kind of came in. But I think a lot
At least
of
he
people-
obliged, because I think most people who don the red hat wouldn't oblige.
No, that's at least the perception.
What are the views of, particularly Christianity that matters to like the followers of it politically?
So politically, one is abortion. That's huge. So they are obsessed with Supreme Court justices. So that across the spectrum, everyone knows who's up. I would say that's probably, at least in our circles,
Yeah.
that was the big thing everyone was looking at. Trump is going to get 2 conservative judges on that platform. we need a rally, because then ultimately the underpinning is abortion. We're going to kind of beat abortion.
Which is pretty interesting because, like, when you talk about like political even knowledge, the average person has no idea that there was 2 Supreme Court justices that might happen during Trump's time.
Yeah.
But like people of the Christianity church,
I think conservatives are just better tacticians.
Yeah, they just know how it works.
yeah, exactly, and because they know what's at stake and they pay attention to it. And I think, is there a world like, so is that's number one issue?
In our circles, I would say that's pretty number one. Then it's, I didn't think, but guns are a pretty big deal. I thought it wasn't a big deal, but I go down to the South and they're like, "Don't touch my guns."
Yeah.
And so that was another big deal, and they just felt the Republican Party, the Democratic Party, was kind of impinging on those rights, and they were getting kind of scared. It's a way of life for them.
Yeah,
I'm surprised more Christian values aren't like split. Meaning, like, there's also the issue of like guns or people are killing people with guns.
Right.
You would think that there would be like a large group of Christians that would be like, no, let's get rid of them. Like abortion, I get for as far as Christianity goes. I'm shocked that there's not more of a split on the gun issue.
well, especially because abortion and guns, like it's killing, right?
Yeah.
Like it's in line.
Yeah, you would
aligned.
think that they would be anti.
Yeah.
It's really interesting.
Yeah, I'm not saying it's logical or coherent. Those are just the big issues.
So let me ask you that. Like, how do you deal with, like, okay, I'm up here speaking to these people, and there are some things that the majority of them probably believe in that I don't. You can't come right out and just say, hey, the gun thing, let's take them. Like, how do you address the difference of sort of your beliefs and maybe your following might have these fundamental...
That's the $1 million questions pastors have been asking themselves during COVID. So that was a very, very sensitive issue. And I don't think we've even figured it out. So a lot of pastors, if you look on it, are stepping down from their posts. So either because they didn't address it, they didn't say anything about it.
About what?
So say Black Lives Matter.
Okay.
They didn't want to touch it. It's too hot of a topic.
Wow.
I'm just going to ignore it.
Yeah.
Half the congregation was like, why'd you ignore it?
Yeah.
So, and then the conservatives get mad, like, why'd you ignore it?
Yeah.
Like, why'd you ignore it? Like, because I didn't want to pick a side, and I just don't think that it's a healthy conversation.
Yeah.
But we have not figured that out yet. And pastors are constantly talking to each other. How do we do this in a tactful way?
Yeah.
So it's been a headache for a lot of pastors. Yeah.
Is there polarization in like the church with the congregation?
Yeah. I mean, that's something that the church always laments, that we kind of reflect America.
Yeah.
So it's almost the same fight that you're having in the political sphere. You're having the same fight in the church.
So even within a church that you said is more conservative in regards to Christianity, 50-50 MAGA versus non-MAGA?
I wouldn't say 50-50. These are just very hard issues. And if they're going to say, the thing you hear a lot is, I'm going to pick the lesser of two evils. And so, what was it? It was Trump and Hillary.
Yeah.
For whatever reason, they really didn't like Hillary.
Yeah.
It's like, at least with Trump, we get a nice guarantee of 2 Supreme Court justices.
Yeah.
We're going to go that way.
Yeah.
Got it.
Yeah.
That's the thing too that I think we don't realize sometimes is like there's so much of that. There's so many people that aren't like diehard MAGAs that are that.
Well, I mean, if you're a religious person and abortion is your sticking issue,
Yeah.
you can't really vote
Well,
Democrat.
and think about it. If Supreme Court is your main focus, you're not voting Democrat.
No.
You're definitely not voting Hillary.
No.
But it's ironically, they voted pretty center, the Supreme Court.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that backfired.
Yeah.
I think when
Yeah, I mean, that's a sticky point for me. It's always backfired. It's always going to backfire. So I think the closest we had to the Supreme Court was, I think, in the early 90s, late 80s. I think we had, how many? There's 9? No, how many are on the bench?
9.
I mean,
There's 9, right?
Yeah.
So I think we had 8 conservatives, 1 liberal. That was the one time Reagan got it. We had it. The abortion issue came up, didn't work out. And so ever since then, people like forget about that we actually had conservative justices on there. And I'm just like, this is a waste of time. Like, we need to stop putting efforts into it. Yeah. Again, this is not the general popular view. I was telling on it. I have views, but it's kind of like controversial even in the Christian realm as well too. So,
but is there a group?
I think I know Jeff pretty well.
Yeah.
And that's probably a delicate balance because you know how the congregation feels on issues of what you're able to express.
Yeah.
Which kind of sucks because, we as a society are, progressing. I saw someone post on Instagram yesterday about July 4th. And he was like, our Constitution, these forefathers had the foresight to know how we were going to live. And I was like, okay, you could take that approach, or you can also say they made the Constitution and the Bill of Rights for that era.
Yeah.
It's maybe time to update them.
Yeah.
Like the world has evolved and changed, and we're still being governed by laws from freaking hundreds of years ago.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think, even when it comes to religion, because I have heard very liberal people who are religious completely evolve their thinking over time. Mm-hmm. And I think, what does the Bible, I don't know anything about the Bible.
Sure.
What does the Bible say about, does it distinctly call out abortion?
Yeah, it does. So this is where it gets tricky.
Yeah.
And to all the church people listening to me, just forgive me for this statement.
Yeah.
It's pretty clear, cut and dry. The church is against abortion. The real question is, can you hold a world government to the same standards as the Bible?
Yes.
That's the real question, right?
Yeah.
Can I, as a person, say, hey, because the Bible says it, therefore the United States needs to say it?
Yeah.
The majority of the people say, yes, absolutely. This is a Christian nation. We need to go back to its principles and to its roots. I would say, I don't know. We have nothing to do with the government. Let the government run itself. Let the government figure it out. I have my concerns about the government. For me, on the other side, what I kind of watch for the government is, it's a crazy experiment that the U.S. is trying. So they're the first government to acknowledge that all people are equal, right?
Yeah.
Never done in the history of humanity, which comes from a Christian principle.
Yeah.
That all human beings are equal. I don't know how to carry that out in a practical, large geopolitical realm or the whole sphere. How do you do that?
Yeah.
How is that even going to look? So we're in the midst of a wild experiment. There's no church governance in it. It's all army, military, but everyone is rule of law. Everyone is equal. But on what foundation are we considered all equal?
Yeah.
Right? Because everyone is saying everyone is equal, but everyone is taking away the Christian principle. So then on what principle do you find that all humans are equal?
Yeah.
Plus, it seemed like what you alluded to was there was a large portion of the congregation that sort of was anti like Black Lives Matter and stuff like that. Like I do think racism, maybe it's not profound, but it does exist in the Christian church. Mm-hmm. And where's the all equal in, where are these fundamental principles?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
like he goes to Alabama and they say you speak great English.
Exactly. It's like, and you don't even realize, you're so deep in it, you don't even realize that was a fucked up thing to say. But you're so far from all people are equal. It just feels like almost like some of these issues are like cherry picked of like, okay, this one we'll die for. This one we're a little less.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. So that's the tension we have in the church right now. So we had our General Assembly just a couple of weeks ago, and it was a huge point of contention still. How the conservatives, quote unquote conservatives, have labeled it is it's a secular theory that is infiltrating our church, which is critical race theory, which is not from the Bible.
Yeah.
So why are we taking it as gospel? So they'll say, hey, we need to get rid of that theory. But practically, it does a lot more things than we get rid of race. And in the Bible, there is actually no concept of race.
So it's not even addressed.
They try to just eschew it. Yeah.
But no, I mean, in the Bible, race isn't even.
Yeah, race is a human construct, right? And that was developed way later during the Enlightenment period. So there's no vocabulary. So the conservatives are right in one sense. There is no race.
That's under the assumption that all people are equal. There's no race.
Yes, there is no race. But America was built with that human construct in mind. So, you have to face the reality of the situation, that race was a thing when America was built.
Yeah.
100%. Yeah.
So you can't just ignore it all of a sudden. You have to realize, yeah, it was built with this flaw. You have to address the flaw. So you have to talk about race.
So how are they?
Yeah, there's a
how are they
real-
evolving their thinking on that? Because that is the biggest fundamental problem in this country right now, right?
Right.
Is that like you're saying that the all men are created equal according to the Bible, but like we know that's not the case, right? And I'm sure the leaders of any religious organization in America can accept that
Sure.
it's not, people are not treated fairly, but it's not obviously good for business to address it head on,
Right.
because it's going to piss people off.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, like, is this just what status quo is going to be like for a while? Because we can't evolve people's thinking. No one wants, like, if you look at like the last election, it is so polarizing.
Right.
Any opinion,
Right.
any topic. The average person cannot come to the middle on anything. You're either blue or you're red, and that's just, you die on your side.
Yeah.
And that's just how it goes. And I know how powerful the Christian church is in politics in this country. And,
Because your congregation votes.
Yeah.
100%.
The woke doesn't vote.
Oh yeah, they're out there. Yeah.
That's why it matters how I'm sure you realize how important it is for the future of country, how you guys view certain topics.
Right. Yeah.
But you get pushback when you go to the big Super Bowl event of your guys' church, and you're at Atlanta. There's probably thousands of you. And let me ask you a question, because I have no idea. I honestly don't know anything about religion. You're Korean.
I'm Korean.
Are there all races as pastors? Or are they mainly like...
So in our denomination, we're mainly, I would say, 90% white, 8% Asian. And of those 8%, 99% are Korean.
Okay.
And then there's like, I would say 1%, 2%, check my math, but African American.
Got it. So
Why do
in
you
New
think
York
Korean?
City, you're 90% white where you are a pastor?
Yeah, I would say.
Wow, I
you mean
didn't
the
know
pastors? Yeah.
No, not the pastor, the congregation.
So the congregation's a little bit.
Oh, you're talking about the pastor.
I'm
Talking
talking about the
Pastor.
huge.
Got it.
You're talking about the huge
Oh, got it.
denominational
Yeah,
thing.
sorry.
Yeah. My congregation's a little bit a different makeup.
Yeah.
More
Why do you
out
think
there.
so many Koreans? Why are all the Asian pastors Korean? Is that sort of what you alluded to?
Yeah, I mean that goes into a deep history lesson of America. America essentially saving Korea, right? It's a Christian nation. MacArthur came in. This was the Korean War.
Got it.
Kinda missionaries. Christian nation. There's a whole slew of things why Christianity took off in only Korea, not Japan and China.
Got it.
I mean, I do remember
Wow.
in high school, almost all of our Korean friends went to church.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which was
religious.
very like different than other races.
So I
interesting.
actually went to church with a couple of friends when I was at Granada. And I would assume, similar to maybe even the church you went to growing up. And they like their youth night. And my friend just kept
Sure.
asking me Korean. Obviously, we went to Korean high school pretty much. And I went.
I mean, talk about, you want to do the percentages? Granada Hills High School is 50% Asian, which I think of the 50, 90% were Korean.
Yeah.
Really?
Yes. We basically went to a Korean high school.
Wow. Okay.
There were a lot of Koreans.
And so I went a handful of times, and I didn't have a pleasant experience. And I think the part of it was it felt like the pastor knew I was obviously not Christian.
Yeah.
And he was like, we were just having a discussion, and he was like, yeah, well, you're going to hell. I was like, whoa.
He told you that?
Yeah.
Okay. Well,
I was like, if you're trying to convert me, that's not a good selling point.
Hey, he might be right. He was in hell yesterday when we did see him.
He's like, Anand's gonna leave you. Oh my god.
But like I was pretty surprised at the tactic.
Yeah.
Given that if your goal is to you're telling young people, bring people from the community, let's expose them to the religion.
Yeah. So come on in or go to hell.
You got two options.
You got two options. Yeah.
But I'm curious. How do young people view religion today? Like, is your congregation? What's the age makeup?
Yeah, so it's generally older or more young families. So the trend we see is people in their 20s. After college, they'll leave the faith. Then, and this is usually if they're brought up in the faith, they'll have a family, and then they'll just like, I think my kid needs
Religion.
something or religion or something. So kind of a belief, moral system to build. So you see a lot of them come back.
And that's like in their 30s and 40s.
In their 30s and their 40s. And so I would say generally that's our makeup of our church. They didn't come back for that reason, but the general makeup is around the 40s and 30s, young families.
Interesting. And do you see, like from your seat, does the whole QAnon like infiltration feel like a big problem, or does it feel like something that just happens kind of in these fringe cases, or not really, nothing you really waste any time thinking about?
It's not a fringe case.
Wow.
No one openly talks about it, so it's not a thing that we're not to a point that we're going to address it, but you just hear some
chatter
and like offshoots, and you're like, well, where did
Weird
that
dates,
come from? Yeah.
March 6th.
Yeah.
Just be ready. The storm is coming.
Yeah.
Let's take a break for 1 second and talk about Harry's.
What about him?
Well, they're pretty much the best way to shave on the planet.
That's what Tim keeps claiming.
Tim, why don't you tell us about it, man? You're the clean-shaven, everyday guy in the room. And so we want to hear it from someone who actually has experienced the difference.
That's true. I'm looking around this room. Even Jason's got a beard going on.
We all got a little scruff.
Yeah.
But, you know, you're our representative.
Clean-cut white guy.
Clean-cut white dude.
Yeah, I really like being clean-shaven, especially post-mustache Tim.
Oh, yeah, I forgot
the new
about the
iteration
stash.
of Tim. Yeah. This is, I like to be clean shaven. I feel like there's a big difference between shaving with like one of those really like cheap dollar razors that you get from any store versus shaving with like a Harry's razor, because Harry's has the right amount of blades. It has the right weight. It's just like you can go against I don't know if they would recommend this, but I go against the grain and it actually doesn't cut.
On the edge.
It's like the only.
I mean, you go against the grain in life.
I do go against the grain.
You should only shave against the grain.
Yeah.
Stay on brand.
Get a closer shave that way.
Yeah. That's good. Well, listen, I mean, these guys, it's a young brand.
Yeah.
But they use their blade technology from centuries of blade making tradition.
Yep.
Great prices. I mean, I see these guys everywhere. They really figured it out.
And they're offering all group chat listeners the starter set at harrys.com/group chat. And in this starter set, you'll get a 5-blade razor, a weighted ergonomic handle, foaming shave gel, and a travel blade cover. A $13 value for just $3.
What?
$3? That's cheap.
I can buy that.
I
need to buy
Even
that.
the new guy can afford it.
Yeah, that's good. These things are real, like, they're like pretty like heavy and good quality for.
Yeah, they've got a little bit of weight to them.
Got some girth.
And as someone who has very big hands, I like this because the really cheap plastic ones, I just feel like I don't have control, you know?
There you go.
I feel like with this, the handle gives me control.
Wow.
It's all about control.
Bernie Bro approved.
There you go. So there you go. Head on over to harrys.com/group chat.
Yes.
Let's get back into it.
Yeah, everyone is trying it, especially in New York City. You're not going to come out and say it's not a safe place to just come out and say stuff like that. But then, you know, they'll throw it, or, you know, I'm the pastor. They're like, hey, I'm really concerned. Why do we do this? And you're like, where did you get that information from? And so you have to have to deal with it. And so it's in the back of people's minds. It's not probably full-fledged, but it is a fascinating phenomenon that is, it's making its way in. Yeah.
So he could decide if he wants to edit this or not. But when we hung out on Friday, he said when he goes to the South, he gets the first question, are you Republican or Democrat?
Right away.
Yeah, I mean, it's usually the older people. So they just like, how are the conservatives up there? I mean, are they holding strong? I'm like, I don't
I
know.
thought that's when you go to the hood here and they're like, yo, where are you from?
yeah. So they're asking and they'll be asking. But I mean, yeah, it happens.
Okay,
I got concerned.
I got to ask you about this too, because we talked about the South. To talk about I'll say the West Coast.
Mm-hmm.
Once again, full edit disclaimer. We can edit it out. We've talked a lot of shit, I think you could say, about these like celebrity pastors. And there's kind of this thing that happens out here where streetwear, you're wearing all the Supreme, you got a nice Rolex.
Bieber's guy, what's his name?
Karl Lentz, I think.
Yeah,
Karl
You know,
Lentz.
all of a sudden, there's a club that's now turned into a pseudo church. whatever. And it just feels like people are using religion to gain all of the wants that all your average people have: fame, money, celebrity friends, whatever,
Streetwear.
right? Streetwear Supreme. And it just feels really, really shitty. It feels like you're leveraging religion to get these things. Does that bother you? Do you see, when you see that, are you like, people are exploiting what we do? Or not really? You don't care?
I would say, so I don't know Karl. I mean, he's in the New York area, but I don't know him. My best guess is his intentions started off well.
Yeah.
So there's a big thing. Being a missionary, say in America, you have to be contextual. So he's probably going after the cultural elite. Yeah. So if he's coming in not dressing well, he's never going to be accepted. No one's ever going to talk to him. So he starts dressing like them. I'm not saying this is the genesis of it, but that's how Christians think. So we go to different
He's like
nations.
a missionary to West Hollywood.
That's right. That's right. And some people can do it. And I think he was pretty effective, at least building that brand. Yeah. And he got a lot of people, at least, who needed Christianity in New York. Yeah, he was very influential for them. And he was there and people were saying, hey, whatever you're doing, it's working.
Yeah.
So now did he probably go awry in the middle of it? Probably. I mean, I don't know, but I don't think the attempt is, hey, I'm going to get rich off this. It's just, hey, I have a special skill set. I know how to talk to these guys. I'm going to go in there, but I got to look like them.
Interesting.
So, and I got to talk like them. I got to know what they're into so that they get some credibility.
Yeah.
And which they do, which, you know, not a lot of people, I could never pull that off. I couldn't just put on Rolex.
You got the Jordan 1s.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, maybe we're like kids. I can be like, yo.
Yeah, I did. And what about like, because it's similar, but like for sake of not getting anyone in trouble, I'll say like the Jerry Falwells or the people, these mega church guys, and where you are flying around on private jets and stuff like that. Does that bother you?
Yeah, so a lot of this stuff does bother me. Yeah.
I didn't know if we could like talk about the...
No, you can talk about the goat.
You know, I didn't know.
It's like if you're in the NBA, you can't shit on LeBron.
Exactly. That's kind of how I feel.
No, I mean, so Joel Osteen, why it's difficult? Because he believes in the prosperity gospel. It's a type of Christianity.
Oh.
And his is, God blesses you with money if you live a good life.
Of course, that's what he believes.
Yeah. So
you should have signed up for that one.
Well, you know, no. That is, the Bible does not teach that anywhere. So, you know, our denomination is very upfront about Joel Osteen is not a good dude. So,
oh, wow.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, we say it. It's not a untouchable thing. It's
great.
Wrong. It's lying.
Oh, good.
There's nowhere in the Bible that talks about anything that
about private jets.
Yeah,
private jets. Yeah, it's pretty horrendous, at least within our circles.
God,
wow.
No one aspires to be Joel Osteen. Everyone kind of says he is the poster child or warning, don't fall.
What not to do.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's good to know.
Yeah.
I was always curious about that because to me, from my point of view, it just was like, guys, he's using religion to build. He's like a motivational speaker, but he's using like somebody else's words. You know what I mean? You're just plagiarizing the Bible,
right?
And you've built this huge following off of it. It just feels so predatory almost.
But I think he actually believes what he preaches.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Eventually, you believe.
Right.
You know.
No, well, I mean that has always kind of been a form of Christianity that's always been around. So his dad was a pastor, Joel Osteen, and he just grew up. I think he was like a camera boy for his dad's church. I mean, who's going to check him? Like, hey, no, this is how it actually works. And he's like,
it's like, Dad, we need a PJ.
It's like, I got a private jet. Never in my wildest dream I would imagine getting a private jet. Hey, guys, this can actually happen to you.
Yeah. Okay. I have one last question. Do you believe 25 years from now, religion will be bigger in America or smaller? All religion, not just Christianity.
Oh, yeah. I think it's going to be bigger.
Really?
Yeah.
Like organized religion?
Well, I mean, if you just look at the math, the religious people are the only ones having babies, right? All around the world.
Interesting.
Really?
Yeah. So I think what we talk about, if you look at the Middle East, the Muslim religion, I mean.
Yeah, obviously. Yep. They're growing fast.
They're growing. And then if you look at like the atheist or agnostic West, the Western civilizations, no one's getting married. Everyone's delaying, having children. They're not going to do
That's
it.
an interesting
Yeah,
take.
that is.
I've never thought of that.
Yeah. So I
Because
think
isn't
by
it
the-
shrinking right now in the U.S.?
So the U.S., Western Europe, that type of thinking is a very small population. It's like I would say, like the top 1% think that way.
Yeah.
Don't need to get married. No need to have children.
Yeah.
But with Christians, you go in the South, they're having 5-6 children.
Yeah.
They're growing up in the household. Now, are they going to all be Christian? No, but if
He only needs
you get
20%.
3 out of 6,
You're doing pretty well.
It doesn't
Not
look
bad.
bad.
Yeah.
So I think in the future, religious thought is going to be dominant. Organized religion is a different question.
Maybe it'll just be like on an app.
On an app, kind of decentralized.
Yeah. That's interesting. Hot take.
That is a hot take.
I like it.
That's not where I thought you'd go. Yeah.
I
It's
like
bold.
it. Yeah.
I like it.
And I think it's super important for people on the coast to realize how much the church affects politics.
Yeah.
Because they're the ones who actually vote. And I remember everyone wrote Biden off in the Democratic primary, and he went to South Carolina and just like dominated this church like gathering. And
Yeah.
everyone's like, oh,
It's
like,
over.
yeah. And he won South Carolina, and then he won the nomination. No one
Yeah.
even thought Biden was going to be the nomination.
Yeah.
The church matters. Jeff, you got a big responsibility.
Big time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, man, it's a lot. That's why I went into healthcare, something easier.
Oh, man. Okay. Well, I mean, are we good?
Yeah.
Incredible, man.
That was great.
Jeff, thanks for sitting in the hot seat.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I know.
I was
Blessed.
nervous.
I know it wasn't so bad, but I was nervous for you.
Yeah.
Just because it's
I think
such
he
a new
navigated
territory.
some landmines
Yeah.
pretty well.
Yeah.
But
I
incredible.
held my tongue. We'll have our own podcast later.
That's a good podcast. You should replace me on.
Yeah. We should
Maybe
have
Tim and Jeff.
a special episode.
Because you
Pan
grew up,
Christian.
you grew up in a religious household.
I grew up, I was part of a Christian cult for a little while. So I
Oh,
have,
nice.
I have a very specific opinion about the church. And I think
that's-
I think there needs to be an episode of Pan Christian.
Oh, yeah, that's a thing. Yeah.
All right. Well, Jeff, thank you, man. We appreciate it. Keep doing your good work. And good luck out there, man, as things change. And it seems like a wild time, but it
Yeah.
seems like you're navigating it well. And be careful down in Alabama.
Roll Tide.
Nice
Swear it out.
English.
That's all you have to say to Alabama church to get them.
Oh, man. All right, let's get into some news. In the sake of maybe all men not being created equal, we have a couple topics. I think the first thing that really has everyone like, I don't know if we've talked about this at all or not, but is like what everyone's talking about is Shikari,
Yeah.
the Olympic runner who was booted because she tested positive for marijuana. Her mother, she had just found out her biological mom passed away. She said that she coped with a little bit of weed. She was in a state, Oregon, where weed is legal.
Yep.
That being said, I totally understand weed is not, accepted in the Olympics, and I think she knew that risk was on the table. But like now you have this young woman who went through a lot, was like the standout superstar. And it looks like, her Olympics dream has been pulled. As of right now, there's no chance.
Well, here's the thing. She's on a 30-day suspension. It's just unfortunate the next 30 days are the Olympics.
Yeah.
But here's the frustrating part is like, why can't you just overhaul it and change it? I think if you were to pull athletes, athletic organizations, in the NBA bubble, they allowed weed.
Yeah.
That was allowed. Like the collective bargaining agreement was like, in the NBA bubble, you can smoke weed.
Yeah.
So I think it'll happen, but the challenge is the rule is the rule at the current moment, and she broke it. She said she knew she broke it. It's not like she's denying.
But why can't we evolve quicker? Like she should be in the Olympics.
So I think it
No
could.
one
I think
cares
both are
about
true. To be honest with you, I think both are true. I think it's one of those fucked up situations where there is a rule and she broke it.
Yeah.
Is what it is. And also, it's so stupid that's
And it's a detriment to our own country to make this example.
And my point is, people forget. You forget until the Olympics come every year. It is so damn important to win at the Olympics.
Yeah.
It just is. China sits and trains their citizens since age 2
Yeah.
to win. Because you know what happens when China wins 600 gold medals. It is a huge sense of pride for the country.
Yeah.
And, they're searching for global dominance. You all of a sudden win all these gold medals and everything. You as a country have this enormous amount of pride.
Yeah.
It's great for the mood of the country. It matters. The Olympics actually have such a global impact on just the mood of each country. Yeah. Why Russia cares so much and why China cares so much.
And we're over here just beating the shit out of each other.
And by the way, Russia and China do not follow the fucking IOC rules. They do whatever the fuck they want. They cheat,
yep.
and they go for the kill because they know if they beat America in the Olympics, it matters. She's our best sprinter. 100-meter dash is
That's
the most blockbuster.
Yeah. It's 10 seconds. Yeah. Everyone watches it. It's not like a 3-hour basketball game where you have to deal with instant replay.
Yeah.
They just kicked out.
Let's watch it. That was great.
Yeah. And you just kicked out our best female athlete.
Yeah. The only part that I just want to know, and I don't want to go into Conspiracyville, is why did she get tested when she got tested? Yeah. That's the only thing that it feels to me a little predatory. And maybe it feels like that after the fact, and maybe I'm totally wrong here.
There's a whole theory in the NBA. It's like the only sport where superstars don't get busted for PEDs.
Yeah.
Literally the only sport.
Yeah.
In baseball, everyone gets busted. NFL people get busted.
Yeah.
And the running theory is they wink, wink, tell the stars, like, you're getting tested on these days. Keep it clean.
Yeah. I think if we talk to any of our athlete friends, they all know that there's some inner workings here.
Yeah. Of course.
And I just maybe there's not. And maybe she just messed up and whatever. But I don't know. It just feels to me like such a bummer. I do understand the rules are rules thing. That's what Joe Biden said.
Yeah.
He said that?
Yeah, he said rules are rules.
He did, which I get. I mean, look, I do get that mentality. And that is...
But when it's medically proven in the United States...
But it's still the rule, though.
I know, but it's still the rule.
That's the problem.
But the rule needs to be changed.
Yeah.
Biden should say the rule needs to be changed.
I'll give you an example. Here we are saying you need to come into the office. And employees are saying, well, I'm more productive, blah, blah. And you say, these are the rules. I need you in the office. It's like... We want people to abide by the rules when we make them. And whether they're outdated or not for those people... It still is, you have to follow the rules.
Honestly, but that's such a flawed argument because that's like fountains. White people drink here, black people, that's the rules. Fountain's a fountain.
True. So there's another side of the argument, which is the rule valid or not? But that's a separate argument. And as of right now, the rule is the rule. And both things are true, I think. I think the rule's outdated and stupid. And I think, look, I'm not throwing any shade, but the fact that we can move fast enough that a transgender athlete can be in the weightlifting competition, that's light speed. You're on the cutting edge of rules. But you're still talking about weed. Yeah, it's stupid. But I do think there is an argument for the rule is the rule, and you're clear on what it is, and you broke it, and you are going to get punished.
Like, and she acknowledged that. She acknowledged that. She said, "I broke the rule."
But I think we should think a little faster and
I agree.
Overturn the rule.
By no means am I saying nope, weed is bad.
Yeah.
But I'm just saying they have to, because who is this up to? This isn't up to the U.S., right? This is up to the Olympic committee, right?
I don't know if it's the IOC or if it's the...
So you're not even talking about, federally, we haven't even made weed legal. You're talking about the Olympics, which it has to be a global organization
I don't know
making...
if she's suspended from a team by... we have to look that up. Is it...
Yeah. I mean, isn't there countries where you get, murder, you get punished to death for getting caught with weed?
For sure.
Yeah.
So that's the part that to me feels so, unlikely, is that the Olympic Committee is going to overturn it. I think the U.S., you might have a fighting chance, right? But... if that's who governs it.
Well, and there's another controversial policy. The International Swimming Federation banned swim caps designed for black hair, declaring that they don't follow the natural form of the head.
That's insanity.
That is a fucked up rule.
Yes, and that
and the rule's the rule. Black people can't wear a swim cap. Sorry, that's how stupid the argument is.
Yeah,
and so I mean, it's. I don't understand. We're not disagreeing with you that these rules have to change. Yep. Someone needs to sit and figure all these rules out. Pull out the rule book and start updating these things. But this is the problem: is we're going to deal with it after the fact, and her freaking career is now over, right? Because Olympics is every 4 years.
But I mean, look at Colin Kaepernick. Arguably, probably made more money and was a bigger celebrity than.
Yeah, I hadn't heard of her until.
I mean, she's a star now for at least 5 years.
Not that I follow women's track and field, but Now she's like,
Yeah,
No, I would've-
that's the
should've been
only
com-
Olympic athlete I know.
Right.
Simone
like
Biles.
is Phelps swimming? I have no
Yeah.
idea.
No idea. See?
Yeah.
But look at that. Nike stuck with her, of course.
Yeah.
So, I mean, look, she's going to have a commercial.
She's gonna make money. There's no doubt. She's gonna sign a cannabis deal and get paid.
Yeah.
100%.
Fast as shit. How are you smoking so much weed and you're so fast?
That's what I don't even understand. It's
That's a
not even a performance enhancing.
Performance decreasing drug. She was putting weights in her
You know what
pocket.
someone said? Imagine if she did smoke weed, how fast she would be.
I mean, they say like half the NBA is high playing.
For
There's like
sure.
rules. I mean, there's stories of like
For sure.
What
I
are you reading, Jason?
So the World Anti-Doping Agency lists THC as a substance of abuse alongside cocaine, heroin, and MDMA/ecstasy. But then it was through the U.S. Anti-Doping Agency that the month-long suspension was given.
Oh, so it's U.S.?
US. Yes, there you go.
Yeah. They could still overturn
If
that.
that's US, they got to lighten up.
Yeah.
If this gets overturned, she wins the gold medal. Can you imagine?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, they got to overturn this.
Yeah.
If this is US, you got to overturn this.
It's a big moment for America.
So then Joe Biden's an idiot. If he said rules are rules, I thought he was saying because somebody else was in charge.
yeah.
Bro, you got to step in
Yeah.
here.
Well, I'm assuming if they overturn it, it'll then have to be approved by.
Yeah, but they didn't. I don't know how that works.
Yeah. I mean, anti-doping agency. I don't know if you've seen that one cycling movie.
Icarus?
I saw it.
Yeah, Chris.
Incredible.
I mean,
Yeah.
you can fool the
You
anti-doping
can get around
agency.
that. Yeah.
yeah. I mean, give me
Yeah.
a break.
Yeah, I don't. If that's US, they got to overturn it.
Yeah. I mean, the Olympics. I don't think people. It's too fucking big. We
So
gotta
how
win.
does the
We can't
dream
lose to
team,
Canada.
How does the dream team get away with weed?
What?
I know the NBA smokes.
Yeah.
It's NBA stars going to Olympics.
Oh, yeah.
Well, they're not going to test
Well,
them.
I don't think everyone, isn't it random tests? They're not testing everyone like at the same time. That's why I'm asking, why did she get chosen for a random test? I'm just curious.
I mean, not to stereotype, but like, isn't skating going to be in the Olympics now?
Yeah.
Aren't like?
I mean, Nasha
skaters,
Houston.
you know?
Is he going to Tokyo?
He's not going to test
He's
this.
going to Tokyo?
Yes.
Wow.
Yes. Yeah, I don't know, man. It just feels messed up. But I will say this. I do think whether we overturn it and she runs or not, I think she makes more money and is a bigger celebrity.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Than had she.
Her celebrity's out of here.
I think
'Cause
it's
she's
two
cool,
things. It's
like-
the greatest thing happened to her, and it's a terrible example we're setting.
I think for her, sure. I think from financial standpoint, it's a great thing. I mean, if you are training for Olympics your entire life and you get kicked out, it's kind of
Yeah.
pathetic.
Well, no, true. For her personally, it feels probably devastating.
Devastating.
I'm just saying, I think in 5 years, she might look at it differently.
Yes, I think in 5 years, hopefully.
But yeah, it just feels to me, you know what it feels to me is she has bright hair, she has a look, she's a
Yeah.
black girl. It just feels to me like someone was trying to slow down her
Oh.
momentum.
That's the conspiracy.
That's
you're
my
talking
conspiracy.
about.
Race.
Got it.
Because there was like a Canadian or someone, maybe it wasn't Canadian, sorry Canada, but that like a journalist who said like something about strong hair. I don't know if the nails are real, but extra long nails and thick hair is a sign of steroid use. Dead ass serious.
No
Wow.
way.
Yeah. And like Cardi B went in on her. There was this whole thing. I
Interesting.
just think there's this like slow down, bright haired,
Yeah.
outlandish. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But maybe I'm just
I like the conspiracy.
maybe I'm QAnoning here.
Let's go to Alabama and find out.
Oh my gosh. Okay. So we talked about the swim caps.
Yeah.
That's another huge thing, which hopefully just gets overturned. I want to also talk about China. Wouldn't be right if we didn't.
Yeah.
What's going on? So let's talk about Didi.
Yeah.
Didi is China's Uber.
Yep.
What's going on? Something a little strange is happening?
They're operating at a level that I just never knew a country could operate on.
Didi is, or China is.
China is.
Okay.
So Didi just went public last week.
Last week, $75 billion IPO.
So the Chinese government wanted to slow down the IPO process
Okay.
because they felt that the data that they were collecting, the government just didn't have enough control over. That's effectively what they were like getting suspicious about.
Yeah.
Didi goes ahead, goes public, and over the weekend, so it's publicly traded. You can buy Didi stock as of Friday.
Yeah.
Over the weekend, China just banned it from the App Store in China. So you can only ride Didi in China. And now you can't download the app.
If you have it, it's still working.
Correct.
It's still working. But they banned new.
So they pulled an old Robin Hood.
Yeah.
You know, you can only hold.
Stop
You
the
can't.
trading.
Yeah.
I mean, and
But they just don't give a fuck. They just do what they want.
Don't care.
Okay.
No
That's
matter how
like
big.
basically stopping your sprinter from going and winning the gold.
Yeah.
Didi just went public in the US and they're
Yeah.
like,
I mean, just bags were just dropped on this company's doorstep last week with this IPO. And then,
what's going to happen to the stock tomorrow?
I mean, it's going to crater.
It should, right?
Yeah. If stock's up tomorrow, it's just a fucking joke.
Is Didi like only China or very, very mainly China?
Mainly China. I think it operates in some other countries. But it's like, I would say 99% of the revenue.
I just
even
gotta
if they
say,
operate in
man,
another country.
this scares the shit out of me. The way that China operates,
They don't care.
they don't care. They work so hard. They are solely focused on world domination.
Yes. And they're going to
They're willing
clean
to
us
just sideline a $75 billion company. Yep.
to prove a point.
Yeah, to prove a point.
And the fact that you did it to prove a point and nothing happens, it just sets a new norm.
Yeah.
It's just like, oh, okay, well, they can literally do anything. There's no company that's too big. They can do whatever they want.
Well, there's another thing. There's a lot of data conversation in Hong Kong. And now Facebook, Twitter, and Google are threatening to shut down their services in Hong Kong as a protest against these new data laws that are coming into.
So they're trying to own all the data?
I'm sure.
I got to give it to Travis. He was willing to go head to head with China.
He tried.
Uber China.
Yeah, he tried. Yeah.
And then he just conceded they own 25% of Didi. But can you imagine what the government officials are probably threatening Uber?
Yeah.
I can't imagine what Travis's emails look like through that period. Because there were
Is that
Uber
in the
drivers
book?
being murdered. No, not person. Not
Yeah.
what was real. But it talks about Uber drivers being murdered. There were Uber drivers that walked to the steps of the whatever in New York and shot himself in the head. There was the craziest
if
shit
you
happening.
thought it was crazy he was going against the U.S. taxi commissions, he was going against the Chinese government. Fun fact, Jeff Choi, our pastor, resident pastor, SAT class in the Valley. Who was his instructor? Travis Kalanick.
The instructor for your SAT class?
Yep. Mr. Kim's Academy.
That's what?
And how'd you do in the SATs? Was he a good tutor?
No. So it wasn't an SAT. It was a summer program for junior high kids. My parents working, so they don't.
Yeah.
We don't. Immigrant kids don't go to camp.
Yeah.
We go to school prep.
Yeah.
And he was the teacher. He was my English teacher and math teacher. We're there 4 hours, 4 days a week, and he was the instructor for all of them. Yeah.
Wow.
What a nerd that guy was. Yeah, the whole thing really freaks me out.
Yeah.
With the whole China thing, because that's the norm there.
Because they just keep pushing the boundaries.
And what can you do? There's nothing. Nobody can do anything.
No.
And now they have this TikTok. I mean, they're making big strides, and they own it all.
Yeah.
When we're over here trying to get our congressmen and women to figure out what the hell Facebook does.
Yeah, there's no such thing as a political rival to Xi because you go to jail.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, shit.
Best of luck.
At least we have boxing matches.
Yeah, and we suspend our only chance
Yeah,
of
we
winning the
tank our
100
own
dash.
people. I can't believe that was a U.S. thing, man. Jeez.
Yeah, I mean, China Olympic Committee is like, oh, we have a shot at the 100-meter dash this year. Who do we got?
It's just to your point, Russians and those people are helping their people
Yes.
dope.
Everyone's doping.
We're over here tanking our own people. Why don't you look? We know of all the special treatment. No, we know that a lot of it happens. When you get that positive test for Shikari, chuck
it in
that
the
thing.
trash.
Chuck that thing.
Chuck it in
And be
the
like,
trash.
"Yo, Shikari, I'm going to come back in a couple weeks.
Just clean it up.
Let's clean it up.
Yes.
We need you.
This is Olympics, as far as I'm concerned, is war, and we have to win.
It is war. It's the only world war where no one dies.
Yes.
That's what it represents.
And it's people always forget it because afterwards you just don't realize it. Those 2 weeks, everyone is united
yeah.
because we want to win.
Yeah, it's insane that I know that the last Olympics, India only won archery. That was the only medal.
Yeah.
I know that.
Yeah.
You were
See?
very prideful of that?
I was very prideful of our archery skills.
Between Joe Rogan and India, he's picking up the bow. Yeah, I don't know, man. Hopefully this gets
You might have to
worked
join the
out.
congregation in Alabama.
Yeah, they'll have you. At least during the Olympics.
I don't know. I probably have to go to the New York City version.
At least they'll applaud you for your English.
Wow, you're so dark and your English is amazing.
Look at you. How long have you been
Kim's
here?
Academy. Travis Callan.
Okay, that's all we got.
Yeah.
Good stuff, man. I love, Jeff, once again, thank you for the view outside of our bubble. The biggest, probably positive and negative feedback that we get about the same thing is that we have a opinion from our bubble.
Mm-hmm.
So being able to get out of that is very nice. So thanks for the insight.
No, I love listening to you guys. And I think what you guys are doing here is great. I love listening to you guys because I think you guys are pushing the envelope. I mean,
See that, Mom and Dad? I have a pastor's approval.
Yeah. Pastor approved.
Your
Yeah.
parents are going to love this episode.
They're going to love it. Every now and then my dad, will kind of hint at like maybe I curse a little too much.
Yeah.
The pastor doesn't mind, Dad.
I felt like we kept the cursing down.
I don't think I cursed this episode.
I did a couple times. I felt
bad cursing in front of
I did it like 3 times. I felt bad.
it's good. My power of influence.
If only the pod would have recorded what you were talking about right before. Okay, that's it. Do we have any shout outs?
We got one shout out
Okay.
to our guy, Johnny Vacay.
Johnny.
He lives a very incredible life, by the way. Kind of travels, launched a brand where it's like a vacation lifestyle t-shirt brand.
Nice.
And he's from out in Nantucket, Martha Vineyards area. And he released a photo book. 21 vintage cars from Nantucket and Martha's Vineyard and the stories behind each owner. And it's called, it's a coffee table book. It's called Beach Rides.
Okay.
And it's available on johnnyvacay.com and multiple stores on both islands. And, I got a discount. Hit the group chat code and head over to johnnyvacay.com. And I think the cool thing, he's just an interesting guy. Like he keeps me in touch. I think in COVID, he was in Tulum. God lives the brand.
Nice.
Johnny Vacay. So use the code group chat and you get 20% off. Check it out.
There you go. And a little advice is if you're young and you have nothing to lose and you want to just go for it, start a brand around the lifestyle you want to live.
Exactly.
If it works, you have a hell of a life.
Yeah, he really does have a habit because he'll just message me from all these amazing places all the time. So
good for Johnny Vacay.
Yeah, great.
All right. There you have it.
Any other shout outs?
No other shout outs.
Okay, great.
Okay. We will see you Tuesday.